Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League is probably one of the most controversial games I have ever played. If you talk to someone who doesn't really like it, they will tell you this was a game made for nobody. I don't really agree with that statement, but I can admit that this game made a few mistakes that prevented it from being better received. The plot really wasn't a problem, for me at least. Basically, after Brainiac invaded Earth and took over the Justice League, Amanda Waller tasked her Suicide Squad with killing them. And if you played the game or taken any time to do any research, you know how the game ends and what their future plans were. The squad kills the league, and I think the plan was to have at least 12 DLCs that took the squad to alternate universes to defeat Brainiac there, while simultaneously slowly bringing back the league members that were supposed to be dead. Except Wonder Woman, because she's actually dead. But we didn't get any of that. We didn't get 12 DLCs of content or whatever. What we got instead was 4 DLCs with a very boring animation that was less than 2 minutes long, basically breaking down the entire ending of the game. The Justice League was fake, and if you were paying attention, you already knew this. Once they defeated Brainiac, they decided to go out and free everybody that Brainiac had captured, while the Suicide Squad got their bombs deactivated and decided to fuck off into the multiverse. On paper, this doesn't really sound that bad, but in its execution, it was atrocious, and this left a lot of unanswered questions for the Arkhamverse. If I'm honest, I really didn't like this game. Sure, I was excited for it at first, but the longer I played, the less interested I got. They made a few mistakes, and I want to talk about the ones that disappointed me the most. The first problem I had was they made this a multiplayer game when it should have been a single player game. I don't know what possessed them to do this after how poorly Marvel's Avengers and Gotham Knights were received by everybody. Rocksteady literally could have just copied Square Enix's work with Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy and it would have been better received. I mean, if we're being serious, if Gotham Knights did that, it wouldn't suck so bad. Suicide Squad really didn't need to be like this, and it was clearly done because Warner Brothers thought it was going to make them easy money, and it didn't. What's disappointing is that the gameplay is actually fun. It's just surrounded by nonsense. Some people say that it's generic, but to me, that's not really a big deal. I don't need every game reinventing the wheel. There are a lot of games that reuse gameplay elements that we are already familiar with. The biggest problem I had was after I beat the game, I went off to play other games, but when I decided to return during Season 3, I was doing so much damn grinding to get the Joker and Mrs. Freeze that I just gave up. Nobody wants to do all that nonsense, and as a result, I dropped the game. Live service, if done right, can be fun. For example, like No Man's Sky, it handles it very well. Even if Sean Murray suddenly decided to start charging gamers for the expeditions and stuff that he released, everyone would agree that it's a solid live service game. Even recent gacha games, despite my dislike for them, are good examples of a decent live service experience. But in a game like this, all it does is waste people's time and piss off the fan base. Which, even if this game wasn't a live service, it still would have drawn the ire of toxic Batman fans that believe he's unbeatable. To sidetrack for a second, this is an issue with Batman that is actually DC's fault. Over the years, despite being a normal human, he has survived some pretty insane circumstances. Now, I know that one of Batman's many messages is that you don't need to have superpowers to be a superhero, but there are still some things that he has survived that just did not make sense at the time. He survived multiple battles with Superman, Darkseid's Omega Beams, being ambushed in his own home by the Justice League that was mind controlled by the Joker, and the feat that has split the community down the middle, surviving a fall from fucking space. With feats like these, you might as well call Batman Superman. And the fans were so upset how he was treated in the game that some even wrote essays and made videos on what would have actually happened in the game, forgetting that this is not a Batman game. It was honestly pretty funny. But to get back on track, another problem that kind of bugged me was with some of the Suicide Squad members themselves. Now, King Shark and Boomerang, they were fine to me. My problems were with Harley Quinn and Deadshot. Now, I know that I'm probably going to upset some diehard Harley Quinn fans with this, but I'm going to be really honest. She's been a problem for me for years. Ever since the New 52, she's become less and less the character that I fell in love with in the animated series. Many people have shared their opinions on how she has evolved as a character, and some make sense. Like, right now, Harley Quinn is an oversaturated character who has become DC's Deadpool. And you can't really say that's an unfair criticism. In the last 10 years, she's been involved in more live action and animated movie than any other DC character aside from maybe Batman and Superman. The DC's Deadpool part might be a little bit mean, but I think that's kind of accurate. Then there are some opinions that I really don't agree with, such as Harley Quinn was better off with the Joker and they should bring them back together. If you think that this is a good idea, then you just hate character growth. Her leaving the Joker and becoming her own villain would have been a great way to go. However, they just didn't do it right. To me, she's a character that evolved incorrectly. Classic Harley Quinn was indeed crazy. I mean, you kind of have to be to fall in love with the Joker, but she was never really seen as an incompetent person. She held the Joker game together in the animated series, and when the Joker kicked her out, the gang fell apart while she and Poison Ivy became successful criminals. And that only came to a stop when she got involved with the Joker again. The current version of Harley Quinn is such a disappointment now. While she has some great moments, there's always something or someone that comes along to undo all that work. There was a moment in the game where the Suicide Squad fell into a trap with Harley being the only free person to help. And what did she decide to do? Well, she just couldn't resist the urge to grab Deadshot's ass, freezing her along with everybody else. The only reason I can think of that this happened is because the dev needed to move the plot forward and they thought it was funny. It didn't need to move forward like this, and it wasn't funny. It just made Harley Quinn look like she was stupid. Speaking of stupid, I've recently been told that Harley Quinn is now starring a comic book where farting is the main plot point, I guess. And at this point, I'm just tired of being a Harley Quinn fan. When you look at other versions of her character, like from Gotham Knights, while she is still crazy, she remained a villain that played to her psychology background to commit her crimes. Same could be said for her variant in the Cape Crusader show. These feel like natural progressions to her character after leaving the Joker. Then there was Telltale's version of Harley Quinn, which turned the nature of the character on its head. She was highly intelligent and intimidating. They also reversed the role between herself and the Joker, making him chase after her affection only for it to end in heartbreak. The Harley Quinn that we got is just an anti-hero mostly known for being in Poison Ivy's pants. Now, while I am upset about what's happening with Harley Quinn, I am just straight up confused about Deadshot. The game was obviously trying to capitalize on the popularity of the Suicide Squad movie, the bad one apparently, because instead of using Bloodsport, they used Black Floyd Lawton. But wait, this is where it gets really stupid. Now, the Arkhamverse takes place in Earth 1. There are many different Earth 1s in DC, but this one is just for the Arkhamverse. If you played any of the previous games, then you'll know that there's already a Deadshot in this universe. Well, apparently, this is supposed to be Earth 2's Deadshot, and we're going to call him Deadshot. This is Earth 1's Deadshot, and we're going to call him Floyd. Anyways, I was trying to figure out where Deadshot came from in the multiverse, and apparently, during the Brainiac invasion of Earth 2, their Lex Luthor accidentally teleported him to the Arkhamverse while he was experimenting with multiversal travel. And this didn't make sense when I read it. You see, Earth 2's Lex Luthor has only been dealing with the Brainiac invasion for around 3 or so years, which is when he started experimenting with multiversal time travel. Deadshot has been in the Arkhamverse for the last 15 years. The numbers isn't adding up, is it? So I went to Floyd's Arkhamverse page to see if there was any more information for me, and this is what it said. Deadshot had been sent in both the past and a different Earth at the same time as a result of Luthor's phase technology still being experimental. This means that he was sent to the past of the Arkhamverse while Lex Luthor was doing all of his nonsense with multiversal experimentation. Why did it need to be this complicated? Why force DCEU synergy? What's the point of doing that? Now, I know I was making an unfair joke earlier when I mentioned Bloodsport. They couldn't have used him at all. He didn't show up into the DCEU until 2021, and the trailer for this game came out in 2020, and it already showed off Deadshot. And you can't really change plans like that. However, there was no need to force synergy like this. There was no need at all to complicate the background between these two characters. And then they shoehorned this beef between Floyd and Jon Stewart, and I'm not even going to talk about it because it's not worth the time. They literally could have done anything else with Deadshot, and they chose the worst option possible. Anyways, those were the big issues I had with this game. There are plenty of smaller stuff that kind of got me hot about this game, but they are small, not that important, and we won't waste time covering them. However, now that the game is over, there are still a lot of questions left over for the story to answer. Questions I think Rocksteady needs to answer because, yes, I do want them to get another chance with the Arkhamverse. I don't agree with other gamers that have this insane thought that Rocksteady shouldn't get a second chance. They made 3 mainline Arkham games that were all great games. I think after the failure of Kill the Justice League, everyone involved has learned a lesson. Besides, the alternative is just to kill the franchise, which is something only fools want. No, I think this was a lesson well learned by the industry that live service games aren't the gold mine they thought it was. I mean, just look at PlayStation, who just canceled multiple live service games, including one for God of War. I don't even know what they were thinking with that. So now the question is, what should happen to the Arkhamverse? I'm pretty sure, I don't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure a lot of fans, we just want this franchise to thrive. We want it to do good, and we want it to be better than what it is now. We already know that Rocksteady is supposedly working on a new Batman game, and more than likely is going to be in the Arkhamverse. Now, I would like to believe that they would not be so foolish as to start a new game right at the end of this game. That would be just idiotic. But honestly, in today's world, a lot of devs do a lot of idiotic things. It's a problem. But here's my idea on how they could fix the Arkhamverse and make us happy. And once I finish sharing my idea, I would love to hear everyone else's thoughts on this. On the odd chance they see this video, they'll have a lot of good ideas to use. The first thing I would do would be reboot the Arkhamverse using the Flashpoint event. It's arguably DC's most famous Crisis event aside from Crisis on Infinite Earths. The reboot would fix a few things. One, it would bring Wonder Woman back to life. I don't know how she missed the memo on having a clone. That was very stupid, but she's now back alive. The second thing it would do would be introducing Aquaman and either Martian Manhunter or Cyborg into the Justice League. I don't really know why Rocksteady chose to omit them from the game. I think they're pretty important members of the Justice League, but whatever, they're now in the Arkhamverse. The last thing this would do is restore Batman's secret identity. I think it's very important for him to have, and it may change the ending of Arkham Knight, but I still think he should have it back. After that's done, I think they should adopt the Mafia way of telling stories and have Batman sitting down with the whole entire league, explain the events from after Arkham Knight up until the current point. I think that would be really fun, and then you could lead it into a Justice League game or maybe a Flash game. I know that I think Monolith, they're working on the Wonder Woman game and it's been rebooted. I'm hoping that it's being rebooted not only to get rid of any live service crap they added into it, but also to maybe bring it into the Arkhamverse. I think that would be pretty fun. I could honestly talk about this for like another 10 to 15 minutes, but I don't want to waste any more time on this. For now, that's just a rough draft of what I would do to fix the Arkhamverse. Maybe if this video does pretty well, maybe I'll do a second video talking about my extended idea on the entire concept. But for now, we're going to end it here, and I'll go ahead and spoil the future for you guys. I'm currently making a script for the next video, which is going to be talking about Sparking Zero. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not too happy with Sparking Zero right now. But that's going to be for the future. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and tell me your thoughts down below on what you would do to fix the Arkhamverse. I really want to hear them. And I will see you guys in the next one.